is advanced care planning. The goal of advanced care planning is to give a client the care they want. It allows clients to make decisions about their future care in situations where they may not be able to do it on their own, in cases of end of life, dementia, and brain injury. If a client becomes medically incompetent or incapacitated, and there's no advance directive on file or family member available, we will deliver life-sustaining care. This image shows the hierarchy of substitute medical decision makers if a client is unable to make their own. At the very top is advance directives, what the clients want. Next is the medical power of attorney. That's who the client has appointed to make their decisions. Spouse or significant other, adult child, parent, adult sibling, other close personal relation. You can see how important it is that we discuss with our clients who they wish to make their decisions if they can't. All clients should be given information about advanced care planning and be asked if they've completed it. When thinking about advance directives, I want you to think of the who's and the what's. These are legally binding documents which outline desired medical treatments, the what's, and then the decision makers, the who's. Clients must be competent at the time that their directive is prepared. An advance directive by the client takes priority over anything that the family would want. We want to make sure we are doing what the client wants. The client records should clearly show if they have an advance directive on file. You can upload these into their electronic medical health record. Failure to comply with advance directives can result in legal action. Two types of advance directives are durable power of attorney, the who's, and a living will, the what's. Advance directives vary internationally and by region. Sometimes they use different terms and different documents. Let's talk about the types of advance directives. Durable power of attorney for healthcare. This is the who. This is who the client legally authorizes to make decisions if the client cannot make their own. Sometimes this is also called healthcare proxy or medical power of attorney. The individual appointed by the client can be called different things, but they are all the same. You might hear healthcare agent, surrogate, or proxy. The appointed person has a right to all of the client's medical information. This person is only allowed to make those decisions when the client has been deemed incompetent or lacks the capacity to make their own decisions. This can be deactivated if the client regains competency. For example, if the client is found unconscious and brought into the hospital, but is now recovered and now can make their own decisions. Another type of advance directive is the living will. This is the what's. The client has decided what they want as end-of-life care. This does not involve the proxy. This is what the client wants. The proxy cannot override anything that the client has written in their living will. The living will can include consent or refusal of specific interventions during a medical emergency. That can include CPR, intubation and mechanical ventilation, and enteral nutrition. These are limited to wishes at end of life. These are signed by a physician and should be treated like an order. Do not attempt to resuscitate orders. This is implemented when the proxy or client has decided to decline CPR. This is based on the client's wishes. This order is written by a healthcare provider. It is based on informed consent. The client or proxy is either consenting or refusing. This must be clearly presented to all staff caring for that client. It's especially important to report this during handoff report and to communicate to everyone caring for that client. This order requires frequent review. The client can change their mind or the client's condition can improve. An example would be a client who has a DNAR order in place and is going to the operating room for a procedure. During the procedure, that order might be suspended, and then the order can be resumed later. The client in the community with an active DNAR order might have a card in their wallet, they might wear a bracelet, or they might have the documents that show that order. The DNAR orders should be available to the client. Any attempt of resuscitating a client with a valid DNAR order could result in legal charges of battery. A DNAR order does not mean we stop caring for the client. You will continue to provide care to that client. For example, if a client has in their DNAR order that they refuse intubation, but they need oxygen, we could provide them with an oxygen mask. Let's talk a little bit about organ donation. If a client is competent and over age 18, they can either consent or refuse to be an organ donor. If a client is deceased and their wishes are unknown, a family member can decide to donate their organs. The request for donation is typically done by a healthcare provider, a specially trained nurse, or a member of the transplant team. Some clients will have their wishes clearly defined in their advance directive living will. There are some myths about organ donation. Donation does not delay funeral arrangements. If it is decided that donation will occur, it usually happens pretty quickly. Donation does not affect if you can have an open casket at a funeral. The signs of organ donation are not visible when the client is dressed. The family does not incur any cost for the donation.